Hey everyone, welcome back with another rant. Now, this is one I've been meaning to make for a while now. I haven't really made as many videos on this channel um, about writing or anything like that. Really, at all since I made this channel in 2010. Like, back in 2010. Like, really the only thing I can think of is the few-parter. I forget how many parts it was, though, like 4 or 5, I think, maybe. In which, like, 2 or 3 years ago, I talked about how to become a better writer. These are just a few issues that I run across with beginner writers, and that I had as well when I was starting out writing, that I really think need to be resolved fast. Now, I'm not, okay, I am criticizing you for this, but I'm not calling you stupid for thinking this, because most writers, when they start out, have this issue right here. Alright, and this video is going to be entitled, You Can Write Better, and I actually have an article here, on and whatnot that I'm going to be reading off of as well, that I think perfectly sums it up for me. Alright, but basically it's when writers think that there's no revision or there's no editing that needs to go into their rough draft copy ever, and that their rough draft copy is the final copy that they want to put out to the public on. Now, if it's on something like fanfiction.net or fictionpress.com, that's a little bit more acceptable because you can replace chapters there if you want to make updates to them. Alright, but if it's an actual novel that you want to publish to the public, you need to be careful about it, and you need, like, you can always write better. On a general stance, anyways. I mean, I'm granted, you know, people say, well, you your style is always changing and evolving. I wouldn't say that necessarily, because, well, if you find a style that works for you and you just want to stick with that, then that's perfectly fine. Alright, but I'm just going to read off this article now. I'll put a link to it in the description below. It's titled, You Can Write Better. I hate to admit it, but I cringe whenever I hear an author say something like, the first few pages of my published novel are exactly as I first wrote them. Seriously? At the WIFYR conference, our author Ali Condi was really brave and read us two versions of the first page of her upcoming novel, Match. The first version was the original that she sent to her agent, and after hearing it, I thought it was pretty good and got us into the world. Then she read the first page from her arc, the one that she revised for her editor, and it was amazing. Seriously, I was blown away with the vivid imagery, and I felt like it was actually I was actually in the story. And that made me start thinking, what if she had just stuck with the original? I had a couple of friends who attended a workshop, and their instructor had them all revise the first chapter of their novel after it had first been seriously torn apart in critique, and they had learned what elements should go in the first chapter. Out of 15 participants, 14 came back with a stronger first chapter. Okay, so I want to pause to say there are a few exceptions out there. There are those moments when our writer's voice, combined with the years of work and personal talent, hit that exact moment when it all comes together in the first draft. Carrie Ryan's first few pages of The Forest of Hands and Teeth are exactly like that. Even in the workshop, the ratio was 14:1, though I am not suggesting that is a perfect ratio for all writers. I am actually saying most of us are on the 14 side. I know I am. So here is your chance. Take your first page or first chapter and paste and copy into a new Word doc. Believe me, that new element helps. Or believe me that the new element helps. Now go to town on your chapter. What would you like to explore? Tear it apart and make something new and fresh. Look beyond each sentence to the scene as well as scene as a whole to see how you can make it stronger. You could even try it from a new point of view or a new scene altogether. Don't be afraid to experiment, but because you still have your saved original on your hard drive. See what you can turn out and push yourself beyond what you think you can do. Just tell yourself, I can write better. And that basically sums up the article, and quite honestly, I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like, there are exceptions, but the exceptions are so few and far between that they're not even really worth mentioning, I don't think. Like, if you have that gift of getting everything right on your, or most things right anyways, on your first draft, and that's great. More power to you. I would love to meet you and learn your secret. I really would. Like, I tend to not. I tend to only write first drafts, but in exchange for that, I spend way more time than most people do on them. That's the thing with me. I tend to spend a shit ton of time on them. Like, if you follow my fanfiction.net account, which is always in the description of my videos, alright, it's been almost a year since I updated my Code Geass story. And I recently put out the fourth chapter. Alright, which is fairly lengthy, but I was still spending almost a year on it. Coupled with writer's block as well, but still. It's worth mentioning that even though it was my first draft of that chapter, I spent a shit ton of time on it. Alright, so that's kind of how I couple with not really making multiple drafts for my chapters. I just spend a shit ton of time on them usually. Alright. And that also works too, I guess I should mention. I guess that's really all I want to say in this video. Basically, if you don't think you can become a better writer, you can. I don't care if you have an ego the size of Russia, you can get better. Alright? Because writing is an art form and art is never perfect. Okay. Now granted, you know, it's still not going to be perfect on your, when you actually publish your novel. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for something better. There's a difference. There's no such thing as perfection, I believe, especially when it deals with something as artful as writing. Alright. And that's really all I want to say in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you after, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.